Well, I would be sad if we did not mention fall and football.
Yeah.
I think we did mention it in the lost recording.
Yes, the lost episodes.
But
starring me and only me.
It is.
And there's a picture of you.
Yeah, that's right. It's starting to feel a little bit better. It's not quite prime, not ideal, but it's getting close.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Weather's real nice. The wife has got some pumpkins out. You got your candle.
Yep, I got my pumpkin spice candle. The house smells great.
And football is back.
Yeah.
And my team, the Georgia Bulldogs. I didn't go to Georgia. I decided they'd be my team a long, long time ago. I had to talk about football because, like, I just feel a little bit more whole.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Not H whole.
No.
This is with the W.
Right.
Sometimes I do feel like the H hole.
Yeah.
Some would say the A hole.
Yeah. Some would say that.
Some would, yeah. Quite a few of you would.
Right. I know I would.
Yeah. You have.
Yeah. Sweet.
Come on.
Family Bible.
That's us sitting around the table.
Willie Nelson. Right? This is from your album, by the way, that you have up there.
Yesterday's Wine.
50 years old, by the way.
50.
1971, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
It's 50 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
You know.
How old is Willie?
He's got to be 200.
Jeez. That must have been around forever.
He's like Larry King. By the way, I always forget. Larry King died, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just always thought he was dead, always.
Willie, yeah.
No, Larry King.
Oh.
Like I'd see him in the 90s and he looked like he was 100.
Yeah.
And then you see him in the early 2000s and you're like, this dude is a dinosaur.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then recently, was it last year that he died?
Yeah, I think so.
Someone was like, Larry King died. I'm like, he was still alive? And that's no
Right.
disrespect.
Right.
I have nothing against Larry King.
Right.
And I do want to, pay respect to his life, but it's like, that dude just seems really old.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, he was up there for sure.
Yeah, Willie's been around too.
Yeah. There was we did a gig one time in Charlotte. Willie happened to be there the night before, and they had a board mix of him, and they started playing it. And and I was setting up, and I was like, what is going on? And I asked the guys from the venue, I was like, what is this? And it was like, oh, this is from Willie Nelson from last night. He was here. And I was like,
gosh.
I was like, wow. But they were playing it, and it sounded
so bad.
It sounded like two songs at one time. I was like, does he not know what song he's playing? Or
I've wondered if
it was so bad.
I've wondered if it was age or drugs or both. Because when he when he was in his prime,
yeah,
like real good.
Oh yeah,
like I listened to some of the albums, like Stardust. You ever heard that album?
Yeah, some of it.
Like it's so good.
Yeah,
like you can't hide on that one. There was no auto tune.
Well, even that's good.
Yeah,
like he's a good singer.
He's a great singer, man.
Good,
but then
good writer.
I saw him perform on TV or something, and I was like,
yeah,
yo,
right.
Like, I ain't trying to be, I'll pay you your respect.
Yeah.
But dude,
yeah,
you're bad now.
Yeah.
There's some performers that are that way, like that I've seen that I'm like, man, you probably, Mariah Carey is one of them. Like,
yeah, she ain't like what she used to be.
Homegirl was like a diva.
Oh yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
and then
for sure,
she kind of. But then there are people like Aretha Franklin, dude. To the day she died.
Oh yeah,
she was crushing it.
Yep.
Have you ever seen the? It's the Kennedy Center Honors. You know that presentation that like there's so many people that have been on it.
Yeah.
And usually the president, I think they stopped it after Obama, but usually the president is there and the first lady.
Yeah.
But they have like, it's not just musicians. They'll have like Spielberg or George Lucas.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like,
Letterman.
Yeah. So I got into this kick of a YouTube hole, like watching these. So
Yeah.
there's one for Led Zeppelin. And so they bring all these artists out to perform.
Oh, yeah.
There's one for the Eagles. There's one for Paul Simon, blah, 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 blah. There's one for Steve Martin, Bruce Springsteen.
The Led Zeppelin one is so good.
Yeah. Well, there's one for Carole King,
Okay.
who, I mean, she's mostly known for her songwriting, but she did I actually think she's the one that is the Gilmore Girls theme song.
Oh.
Where you lead, I will follow anywhere.
But she's legend.
Yeah.
And she wrote Do you make me feel?
Oh, yeah.
You make me
Natural
feel
Woman.
like an. Anyway, Aretha Franklin comes out there
Yeah.
and sings it. Have you seen this one?
I don't think so.
I'm going to put clips right now of this because I showed it to my wife because I thought I was crazy because I watched it and I literally started crying.
Yeah.
It was like, so I showed Sarah Carter and she started crying. Well, then me and Jared had been texting, Jared Poff, what's up?
Yeah.
And I texted him and he had the same reaction, which now makes me feel like as soon as we're done with this, I have to show this to you.
Looking out on the morning rain. How you make me feel. You make me feel. Well, feel like a natural woman, yeah.
You can understand this. There are a lot of great musicians in this world, a lot of great singers, blah, blah, blah. But there are a handful that can start a performance and bring down the whole freaking house in minutes.
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh, yeah.
just throw down. I mean, there are very few people that can do this.
Right.
But she came in and I thought Jared Poff had a really interesting take on this. His point was like, this woman has lived the majority of her life in a whole different kind of racism than being talked about now.
Right.
She comes out there. She's at the end of her life. She comes out there with this massive like fur coat on.
Yeah.
She comes out there in the Kennedy Center with a black president
Oh,
in the balcony
Yeah.
giving her a standing ovation. Like, can you imagine how she felt?
I know,
Like,
dude.
But she starts singing on the piano, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, Aretha's so good. And then Aretha said, nope. She takes the mic, steps off the piano, goes up front, yanks her robe off, and just destroys it. The whole place jumps to their feet.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe 5 years before she died.
Okay.
So she was old.
Yeah. Right.
I don't really know how old she was, but she was she is a old woman.
Right.
And she sounded just as strong as she was when she was 25.
Yeah.
So there are people, my point is there are people that can still absolutely kill it. And then there's some people where it's like, you know what, dude? All my respect to you.
Yeah.
But now you suck. And
Yeah.
I think that's Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was telling you earlier,
Yeah.
My granddad, huge country fan,
Yeah.
he named his dog Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
So if he heard this, he probably would have me killed. And it's not Willie, by the way. It's Willie Nelson.
Right.
He'd be like, "Hey, Willie Nelson, come here."
Yeah.
And so I had the idea.
Full name.
I had the idea of like when we got our dog. I told my wife. I said, "I want to name our dog Loretta Lynn, and we'll just call her Loretta." And
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but she's so picky about everything. My wife is kind of one of the reasons why I love her. She has a lot of opinions, and I
Right.
think a lot of them are really, really good opinions. But
Yeah.
she was like, first thing, she goes, "I love it.
Wow.
That's what we're naming the dog." And normally we'd have had to go through 50 names.
right.
And so
She's bought in.
all that to say, we have Willie Nelson behind us today. Please don't let me forget to show you this video, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's only like 3 or 4 minutes.
Willie Nelson in his prime,
Yes.
for sure.
Willie Nelson in his prime was good. Speaking of,
Yeah.
we talked about 9/11 last week. And again, when this comes out, we're like a week and a half removed from it.
Right.
But you know, we filmed it a couple days before, maybe 3 days before 9/11.
Yeah.
And I guess it just hadn't hit me yet because
Yeah.
it was still 3 days before.
Right.
And so I felt you shared like where you were, and like you gave
Yeah.
a great articulation of how you felt as an adult.
Yeah.
But I didn't say very much.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say a little bit more because I lived through this past Saturday, 9/11, of 20-year anniversary. And
Right.
since then, I watched an awesome documentary from the president's standpoint and all of his cabinet. So that was fascinating. It's a perspective I haven't seen. And then I am halfway through this book. Well, not halfway, more like maybe a third. And it's called The Fall and Rise, the story of 9/11. There we go. The Fall and Rise. I looked it up on the program that the Goodreads. Have you heard of Goodreads?
I've heard of Will Reads.
What is that? Oh, God, that was good. I think we did that in the other recording.
We did?
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Well, make sure I don't forget to talk about that. I'll
Right.
finish what I was saying.
Yeah.
Goodreads is an app where you can review books, and like it's a big community thing.
Yeah.
And like all the readers get on there and review books. It's just it's like Google reviews, but it's for books. Out of 3,900 people, so almost 4,000 people reviewed this book. It got a 4.7 out of 5.
Sheesh.
And I'm telling you, I have never seen a book get over like 4.3.
Right.
No matter how many reviews it got. Like,
Yeah.
that'll tell you how good this book is. I mean, it is like, well, right here. Detailed, graphic, heartbreaking, a definitive portrait of that fateful day. It's got it's like every plane. It talks about the lives of all the people on the plane. Not all, but they pick a couple different people. It's just so. Anyway, I just wanted to say before we tell what you just did, I just wanted to say that like I felt like I was not in the right emotion last week because it had not happened yet.
Yeah.
And so living through that day again, the 28th anniversary, and watching this and reading this book, man, oh my God, I cannot believe this happened.
Yeah.
Like what absolute chaos that day was. We were so unprepared. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm really not even bashing the country, because the fact that you even have to prepare for this is so sad.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, nobody could have ever expected something like this to happen.
No.
Because we get threats all the time, and 99% of the time, those threats are not. They're fake, or they just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the times where we just kind of like, this is the 1%, and it's just like, wow, this really happened.
And the whole time that I was reading this book, I was thinking, as bad as this was, and it was bad,
Yeah,
I was thinking, it could have been way worse.
sure.
And here's what I mean. They hit the 4 places. Well, one of them they didn't because of courageous people on Flight 93.
Right.
Is that 93? Yeah.
Yep.
It was Flight 11, Flight 175,
Yeah.
Flight 77 is what hit the Pentagon.
Right.
And then 93. Have you seen that movie? I haven't seen it, but
Which one?
93, United 93.
I haven't seen that one.
I'd like to see that. But I'm like, all right. So they could have done that, but they could have had more people doing things. They could have had someone fly into Atlanta. They
Yeah.
could have had someone fly into LA and Dallas, and like they could have
Sure.
hit the whole country.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, it's just terrifying, man. It
Yeah.
was like reading this is absolutely terrifying. But
Yeah.
let's let's maybe talk about something a little happier now. Like
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I don't know, pay a little more respect on my end.
Sure.
Because you said a lot last time that I thought was really good, but
Yeah.
I didn't have much to say.
Right.
I will say on the last or on the previous recording, which
Yeah.
was about 15 minutes ago,
Yeah.
this camera here was not recording. I had it on picture mode.
Yeah.
And so we
has
had,
a nice picture of you.
oh, it's a great picture. Yeah. We had to trash 12 minutes of
Yeah.
what we recorded. And in that one, we were talking about grammar
Yeah.
and the fact that when you say, and when someone asks you how you're doing, you might say, I'm doing good.
Doing good.
And it's a very common thing to say.
Sure.
Like of all the grammatical mistakes,
That's all I say.
that one happens all the time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how much it annoys us. We spent like 5 minutes talking about the difference of being good and,
Yeah.
I'm doing well and some other grammatical stuff.
Right.
And so Nate just made the joke that made me die laughing because I said, have you heard of Goodreads? And he said, no, I've heard of well reads. It took me like a good 7 seconds to get that joke.
It was I pulled that one out just like I was like, wait, no, that was on the previous recording. Dang it.
Yeah.
But we had to explain it though, so that's why. But good.
Yeah.
I mean, oh well.
Just replace them all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, go get you some water out of the good.
You know what the biggest animal is? Blue good.
Oh, that is good. That is well. Oh my gosh.
It's good with my soul.
I want to go get
true.
the well bar.
The well bar.
So the good bar. Started thinking more good words.
Yeah.
Well Friday instead
Oh.
of Good Friday.
Yeah. I like that one.
Well morning. Well morning to you.
Yeah. That would ruin the musical scale. Every good boy does fine. It's every well.
Every
It's
well
like,
does-
there's no W. You can't do it.
Well,
Sorry.
moving on. I did want to say a couple things about this day in history.
Get it over.
This day in history, actually relating to 9/11, was when George W. Bush,
Yeah.
declared war on terror. But also yesterday, Mr. Norm MacDonald passed away.
You did.
And I thought you might want to say a few words, just again to pay
Yeah.
respect to literally one of the most brilliant comedians.
Oh my gosh.
Would you say for him, like I might say for him, it was his delivery.
Oh yeah.
Like he was like the king of like,
Yeah.
but also content. I don't know. Say whatever you want to say. I felt like you'd be a good one to.
It's well, he was like, I mean, he had his own thing. Some people thought it was lazy, but I was like, But the more I watched him, I was like, dude, this guy's a genius. It's not lazy at all.
No.
He may sound like he's lazy, but that's it.
Yeah.
I was like, but like I've seen him on like the roast of Bob Saget, and where he just totally went into left field and just didn't do what everybody else was doing, and he was like, Bob has a lot on his mind when he wears a hat.
But again, it's the delivery.
So
it's
yeah,
the way he delivers.
It was.
It's like,
and it was like, and when he started his roast, it was funny because nobody in the crowd was laughing. Like you had like 2 or 3 people, but the dais was losing their minds because they knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And they just got it.
Yeah.
Because they knew him.
Yeah.
And the people were just like, well, why are they laughing? But there's, I don't know. And the more and more he got into it, people were just like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he just had like that old, you know, like there was the delivery and then there was the punchline. So he was basically like stuck in the 30s, basically telling jokes.
Yeah.
And, but the way he did it though, it was so funny.
His delivery is so good.
Yeah. And then when he did Saturday Night Live, when he did Burt Reynolds, I saw that one yesterday.
Turd Ferguson.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I'm pretty sure we just said, "Oh my gosh, dude!" At the exact same time.
We did. We said it verbatim.
Friendship.
Yep.
Have you seen the one where he's talking about the crocodile hunter dying? I think he's on Jon Stewart or something like this.
Oh, really?
He said something like, he's like, someone told me the crocodile hunter died. Are we surprised? And he's like, you know, the dude lived to be 40. Like it's a heck of a life for a crocodile hunter. And he's like, but I tell you who's the most upset is the crocodiles, because he was not killed by a crocodile. He was killed by a stingray,
right?
Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's like, can you imagine the crocodiles going and talking to each other like, hey, Al, you hear they got him? Who was it, Steve? No, wasn't one of us. You know, it's like they were, like the crocodiles were let down because they weren't the ones. But he was like, if he lived to be 40, like that's a long life for a crocodile hunter. Dude, it was very funny.
I posted on Instagram his last stand up on Letterman.
Oh, the one where he says, I love you?
Yeah. And he breaks down. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. But the bit that he talks about Germany versus the world, they did a thing about a documentary about every comedian talking about how brilliant that bit was. And he was talking about, you know, and 30 years later, Germany declares war against, you guessed it, the world. It's like, he's like, you think it'd be quick, but it actually lasted longer than we thought. So, but yeah, it was. I mean, he was just a brilliant guy, so funny. One of the dudes that made Conan belly laugh all the time. And he would just go on these tangents, like have like this story about like that lasted the whole segment, and then he had a punchline at the end, and Conan would lose his mind. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. It was so funny.
He's also pretty well respected.
Oh yeah,
among comedians. I saw Aaron Tuning posted a text message. That it basically said Norm MacDonald summed up in a text message, and I think they were trying to say that he was like really caring, but also like a heavy jokester.
Yeah,
and so they showed the text. I can't remember the comedian's name, but Norm texts the comedian and said, "Hey, just checking in on you. I want to make sure you're doing okay during these pandemic times." And the guy wrote back, "You know, I'm doing okay. I'm doing the best I can. I've already had to cancel $11,000 worth of gigs. And Norm replies, "Man, they canceled your whole year." So it's like one text.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh! And then you just see the next text was ha 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 ha. Because he obviously knew
Right.
Norm. But anyway,
And Norm was brutal too,
oh yeah,
especially during the O.J. Simpson trial. And when the verdict came out, when he said he's not guilty, that following Saturday night he was on Weekend Update, or he did Weekend Update. And he came on there. He goes, and there's a picture of O.J. going like this behind him, and he's like, "Well, it is now legal to kill somebody in the state of California." Oh, murder is now legal in the state of California.
I
That's what it
freaking
was.
love that. Well, I would be sad if we did not mention fall and football.
Yeah.
I think we did mention it in the Lost recording,
Yes, the lost episodes
but
starring me and only me.
it is.
And there's a picture of you.
Yeah, that's right. It's starting to feel a little bit better. It's not
Yeah.
quite prime, not ideal, but it's getting
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Weather's real nice. The wife has got some pumpkins out. You got
Saw
your
that.
candle,
Yep, I got my pumpkin spice candle. The house smells great.
and football is back.
Yeah.
And my team, the Georgia Bulldogs. I didn't go to Georgia. I decided they'd be my team a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And
like a huge percentage.
they are doing, I think, pretty well,
Yeah.
with the potential to be extremely well.
Right.
And I was telling you earlier that the Clemson game, since we beat UAB 56-7 with our backup quarterback,
Yeah.
it makes me think like again, I know UAB is a powder puff that we paid like $1.8 million for.
Right.
But you still have to do that.
Oh yeah.
And there's plenty of times where we didn't beat up on the powder puff team.
Yeah.
And we did with the backup quarterback, and we
Yeah.
were very explosive. And I'm like, okay, well, perhaps Clemson's defense really is that good.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just as good as our defense, or at least comparable to.
Because nobody had an offensive touchdown, right?
Nobody.
Nobody, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like,
That's what I thought.
so that's been fun watching the Dogs. I've been watching
Yeah.
actually been watching some NFL, which is not like me. I'm trying to get into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I watched,
I think the crowd
yes.
for the NFL anyway, I think they just needed a year off to be like, hey, this is what we had. We almost lost it,
Yeah.
or we lost it for a year anyway.
Yeah.
And so, because the Raiders had their very first game with people in the arena, and because last year they were totally, there's nobody there,
Yeah.
except for family, and a lot of places was like that. So, just seeing the LA Raiders in their true home opener, or LV Raiders, in their true home opener, I was just like, this is awesome, man.
It was cool to see.
And they're pumped up.
It was cool to see the Georgia game too, because the first week was mostly neutral games, neutral site,
Right.
and to see 92,000 people
Yeah.
there for that game.
Yeah.
that was exciting, man, and like
It just goes to show like how people, especially in the Southeast, just longed for football. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it's like that everywhere. Pac-12, Big 12, all the conferences, man.
Yeah.
It's just like it's USA sport. It's what we love.
yeah,
And to see those stadiums full again, oh,
it's great, man.
so good.
And then it's like it's about to get real good because
Yeah.
you're gonna have postseason baseball, cold weather,
SEC
football.
play.
Come on, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's about to get real well.
It's going to be a well season.
Yeah. Oh man.
I had to talk about football because like I just feel a little bit more whole,
Yeah.
you know. Not
Absolutely.
not H whole.
No.
This is with the W.
Right.
Sometimes I do feel like the H hole.
Yeah.
Some would say the A hole.
Yeah. Some would say that.
Some would, yeah. Quite a few of you would.
Right. I know I would.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, with that,
Yeah.
I think we should wrap it up for today.
Okay.
And speaking of all the stuff we're talking about, and then you talk about rapping, I start thinking about Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're entering in good time of the year.
Yeah,
man. These
for
next
sure.
couple months are pretty great. And then January and February comes in. I want to die.
Yeah.
I don't really like January and February.
I know. February
At
for
least
me.
January does have football,
True.
but then February is just like,
Yeah. February's.
I mean, that's your birthday.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire. It's like football ended, and I'm just like, I'm a year older. 1 year closer to death. Great. So,
Yeah.
it's a horrible month.
Yes. I stress the horror and horrible.
Yeah.
I like today's episode. Feels good. And hope you guys have a great week. And what you got to say?
What episode number was this?
37?
37. Wow.
That's a lot.
We're getting up there.
Can you imagine when we get to 50? Let's hope we get there.